yeah, I'm just an African boy just trying to do some design.
Man, you're more than just an African boy doing some design. So, you guys, let me tell you who we're just hearing from. My guest is a Zimbabwean designer, typographer based in New York, who has invented writing systems rooted in African culture, designed the visual identity for the Obama Foundation. My mom is super proud about that. And the one thing that he is quietly doing is reshaping what African design looks like on the world stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Osmond Tshuma. Usman, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. And I'm honored to be on this podcast. Yeah.
Thank you. So, Usman, let's start off
Yeah.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
You're a Zimbabwean designer, typographer, art director who's built a career rooted in African visual identity. For someone hearing your name for the first time, how would you describe what you're actually trying to do with your work?
I think sometimes when we look at design, we always look at from a different lens. Like we always think of, does it look global enough? Is it, whereas for me, I've always wanted to connect to, like grandfathers, like the people from the past, but also with the younger generation, like, because most of my work is like that. It's taking things from African cultures and traditions and then bringing it today and then reshaping, redesigning, rearticulating in a different way. And I always try to keep the essence of where it comes from, but then almost like repackage it to the current state, right?
Right.
But then I also want these two generations to be able to say, wait, I know that sign, I know this shape. And then this new generation needs to be, oh, wow, what is this? And then it links the two together. So my work is celebrating Africa. That's what I try and do. And then trying to almost like to say, as much as sometimes, for the past, it has been like design didn't exist in Africa. It was there, it's always been there. Sometimes just in different ways. So yeah, like that is what most of my work is. And I'm thankful that I've managed to get clients who come to me like for that, and I'm able to go crazy, experiment, try new different things. So yeah, so when you see most of my work, I think it's that. It's a celebration of Africa brought to now, a way of you to see Africa in a different way. Yeah.
So growing up in Zimbabwe, I'm telling you, that visual culture is everywhere. Were you always drawn to visual communication, or was it something that you developed over time?
I think I only realized this like when I was grown. Like I always say this when I'm talking to people, that I only learned of the idea of being a graphic designer only when I was like in my early 20s. Right, when I went to college to go and do computer graphics. That's when I learned, oh, this is called graphic design. But the idea of design itself was never a term that was around spaces that I was in. But design was there. It was just in a different terminology. Right? The place that I grew up was it was a school for especially challenged people. When it was created way back in the 80s, it was for liberation struggle people who had left school to go and fight for the liberation of Zimbabwe, right? So most of them would have been teenagers. So then now when they came back, now the new liberated Zimbabwe, they didn't have schools, they didn't have skills. So then this school was then created to say, cool, we can take you back and then you can do your O-levels, a track equivalent to STAs. And then after that, we can also teach you how to do carpentry, woodwork. We can also teach you how to do garment making. We can also teach you how to do, I think those are the first basics. Yeah. So then I grew up with these terminologies, you know what I mean? Garment making, which for me was just that. But later on now, it was like, carpentry was furniture design. Garment making was fashion design. And again, even that garment making, they actually designed the textiles. They dyed the fabric, they painted, and then they made the garment. So it was the whole process.
Right.
Because my mom used to work there, I'd go and see all these things, but it was never design. It was just garment making. The wood, the furniture department, the carpentry, like that machine would light up at 8:00, and then at 5 it will go off. Because we stayed around, that was the sign that it is 8, now it's 5. They're just coming home. Yeah. So literally that was that, right? And then around the school, there was some bit of if you look if you visit Nico right now, you'll still see some of those visual cues that you can almost link it to my work now. Because now when I look at it, I'm like, wow, it was there all along. Yeah. It was there all along.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
didn't see it. And then all this only started almost forming, I'll say maybe after 2015, like this putting together of these designs into making one shape as a visual language, But then only when I started talking to people, I was like, wait, I think it is Danik. And I don't kind of go back and I'm like, So then, and that idea, when people ask me, and I'm like, when I think about it, and even going into our household itself, the furniture that we used to sit on came from, my father would buy it from that place, right? So it will come from the garment. So it will come from the carpentry, right? And some of the clothes that I would wear, my dad also buy it there. So then the house was filled with things that we would buy from there. But it never really clicked. I would just be making stuff. In high school, when they asked me, what you gonna do? Policeman or fireman. It was never like, I never thought of design. Right. Only when I started looking at design was the things that I would just be making, those drawings in class. And I said, oh, actually, I'm better at drawing diagrams than anybody else. I'm better at drawing locusts, locust diagrams, But design only started taking shape after high school, after fine art. So yeah. But now, if you were to go to Danicom, you'll be able to see exactly like, okay, cool. Now we see. I think even the logo of the space, because the place is called Danico Project, even the logo itself, you'll be able to see, I think, some similarities with my work, and then some of the buildings, the murals. Yeah.
So can you spell the name of that place again so people can look it up?
Danico. DANHIKO.
Okay.
Yeah, and then project. Yeah.
Cool. Yes.
Yeah.
You guys definitely check that out. So I'm curious now, how did that environment shape the way you read and interpret things in the world? I know that you said that you slowly started to notice, okay, when I became a teenager, but I feel like being in that environment, you were also paying attention to other cues. So how did that environment shape the way you read and interpret things?
I think for me, I think this idea of being able to move into different spaces, because remember, the school was built for like as a school to help disabled people, right? And then throughout that has been the main mission for the school. So then even now, but then school cannot just only have disabled people. So then what they do is to try to balance so that people are able to be in the same classroom. So then I also went there for my high school. Right. And I think what it told me is how we all come from different spaces. If the school will have someone who's coming like 500 kilometers away, because it is one of the best schools to literally help and be able to navigate when people are struggling, because like there's different people, some people have got different disabilities, and that school is equipped with that. So it says, cool, you can come and do your high school here. When you finish, you can also do this. So that many people will bring their students there. So for me, being able to be around that and also being around to see how people navigate the spaces, it also inspired me to be able to I think now you're able to speak to me like this, but I used to stutter and I used to struggle. I used to talk a lot, but I used to stutter a lot, right? But I think that is when I started learning how to be able to communicate properly, right? And then I think high school was that space of, okay, cool, think, how can I be able to talk and be able to use my words quite well? It wasn't a great success. I feel like university also added another level of that. And then my first job then pushed it, to another level. And then I think now I'm able to do conferences. I think being around Nico, I think it was an opening space. I think it was a space for me to be able to, because for example, I think being a space whereby there's garment making, fashion. Now I want to do that. And I think when I was in Zimbabwe, South Africa, I just had one mentality of just doing one thing, of just doing graphic design. But coming here to America and doing my master's, I'm like, but wait, how can I translate this into a table? And then I'm going back to the carpentry department, and I'm like, but wait, how can I also translate this into a fabric? Come back to garment making. So then now I'm thinking of Daneko, because that is what existed there, right? But I'm also thinking about how to communicate, which is something that was happening there, because of other people are deaf and other people are blind. So it's all those things that I'm like, cool, how can I communicate this way? Graphic design, how can I do a mural? And all those things are things that I grew up seeing. It was there,
Yeah.
I used to, I don't know if you've ever played with them. You see those cones that you buy from shops, like those cones that people used to use for a Christmas tree. So then that tree has got some bugs. Like if you had to get it, if you had to literally rip it off, you can actually shape little toy out of it. You know what I mean? And then that was me as a kid, like we'll go and collect that and then be able to shape into little things, into little cars,
cool.
like little silhouettes. So then now all that is coming back to say, cool, how can I use this? Oh, wait, so now I can laser cut my logo for that. Great. Wait, can I take this? So it's all the things that I used to do back home, way back. Now I'm trying to think of what other ways can I use it. And most of the time right now, I'm just making it just specific. Actually, I have access to a laser cutter. Let me try it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know what's gonna happen, but let me just try it out. And yeah. I think sometimes it's just me experimenting, or just in addition to a client list, which something is not there. But I'm like, well, here's a keyring of your logo. Yeah, I actually send it by mail. You'll get it. It's laser cut. Oh my God. Yeah. I was just experimenting with that. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you did touch on you coming to America and doing your master's in design. The place you did it was RISD at Providence, Rhode Island. Listen, that is a significant journey, brother. Like you're crossing continents, oceans to get here. So I'm curious, what was driving you at each stop? Like how did each place change you? Like coming from Zimbabwe, understanding and learning it, and now you're coming more to a traditional format of schooling and learning it. How did each place change the way you thought of design or approach design?
Yeah, I think I'll start with Zimbabwe first. So I did I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I wanted to do. My dad took me to do fine art. From fine art, my friend was like, "Oh, there's a place that you can learn how to draw on a computer." That is how it was advertised. Signed up. From there, oh wait, it's called graphic design. Okay, cool. Oh wait, 6 months down the line, someone comes to hire us. Great, I got a job now, getting money. But then, whilst working, I'm like, there's a bit of friction here. Like where's the creativity? How can I design when the client is sitting right here next to me? You know what I mean? And my boss used to bring these magazines from South Africa, and I was like, how are they doing it? You know what I mean? I'm like, nah, let me go to South. I go to South to go do my undergrad. That was the first time me being now learning Bauhaus, art history, design history, learning your Le Corbusier for the architects and stuff like that, all those theories, right? I'm like, okay, cool, ways of seeing, visual language, and this, logos, your Bauhaus, all your soul bus, all those things, right? I'm like, okay, cool. Right, 4 years, amazing. But I'm coming from Zim, right, and I'm paying for my own tuition, right. So then every holiday I go back and I work, and I come back and I'm like, Dad, here's what I have, but I need, please help me out. And like, cool, extra. And then I come back and I pay. So it was great, but you can fail. You can fail at cost. So I was playing it safe. So I wasn't giving my all, so I would do work. And also because I already had worked a little bit, but so I knew some of those programs, like your freehand MX at the times, but I was very much safe. So that not to fail, because the fail means that I have to repeat a year, in money, right? But I did well. I finished, started working, and the hunger kicked in, like, but what about, what about, what about, you know what I mean? What about, and then I started doing a bit of experimenting with typography, and I was like, let me go do my master's, RISD. And then RISD is like, you can do anything you want. I'm like, wait, you can't tell me that. I get anxious when you say I've got 30 different electives. You mean I can take it, finish a class? Like, yeah, you can. And I'm like, how's that impossible? Okay, cool. I take it. I take that. And the idea that I'm doing graphic design, this core, and I'm able to tap into these other spaces was beautiful, because, and even the statement that I wrote them. I wanted to come and experiment. I wanted to come and experiment. I just want to try things out, and I did. So every single place was almost like a pathway. I think I wouldn't be to RISD without any other part. And I was in South Africa for a very long time, from 2010 to 2023, in and out. So every single part had its own chapter. Zimbabwe was literally, almost like the introduction. South Africa was the core of graphic design, and I feel like RISD opened up the typography sign that was there, but I hadn't really dug deep to actually open it up. And only now do I remember playing with typography. I remember writing a birthday card for my dad, trying to do lettering, but never really articulated it. So then now RISD opened that, so now
Mm.
more pushing into the typographic scene.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So did the institution fully like understand what you were doing? Because you have like I understand it. It's like
Mm.
you're literally coming from cultural design to a more Western design philosophy and theology and thinking. So did the institution fully understand that, hey, I'm experimenting and I'm coming here because I have this hunger to know more? Or was it kind of like, hey, you got to learn this Western ideology of design? What was that for you? Because I know that's a tension all in
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah. I really love my experience at RISD, because
Mhm.
I think it was like, for me, it was, the designers sometimes get carried away.
Mhm.
And for me, as much as I was exploring or showing all this work from, like, all those experiments from way back home, or even my ideas, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever received any backlash for them.
Good.
Like,
Good.
my lecturers were more, okay, cool, great. But graphic design is about communication. So mold it, show us, like, so they were there to almost like, okay, cool. But what about if you're not there? How would this communicate even
Yep.
better? How would this communicate? Because sometimes some of these ideas sound good when you're there, but what about if you're not there? Can the work still be like, my God, wow, like, and it was, okay, cool, I need to add that, I need to add that, so that even if I'm not there, you get the idea, you get what I'm trying to say, everything is connected, everything leads you to where I want you. And yes, like, I think with all the crazy ideas that I came up, I did a table. like even for my core class, I made a stool for my core class.
Yeah.
And this is graphic design, by the way, like, right?
Yeah.
In my core class, literally, I made a stool, right? And it's there, like I was just experimenting, just like, cool, can I do this? Can I do this? And I mean, and they're like, yes, you can. It's all about how can you talk to us, or how can we able to understand what you're saying if you're not there? And I was like, oh, cool. So then every single time it was that. It was more of them saying, go deeper, go deeper, go deeper. What else can you tell us? What else can you tell us? And for me, it was that. If you're to, and I think you saw, like all of those projects in my book, in my thesis, are from RISD. All of my work was supported by my lecturers, and I'm really, really thankful for my time there.
That's
A
good.
very, very short time, like 2 years, just went like this.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah.
How did your critiques go? Were they the group critiques? Were they one-on-one critiques? How was that for you?
They were long. They're long, and also very different from South Africa. Yeah. They were group critiques. At the beginning, like, they will do like very much like in little groups, like split the class into two. One lecturer takes out the crew, and then sometimes, or even make them threes, and then like, you present your work. The lecturer talks about it. Other students also jump in to help you unpack it, or pose another question. Say, oh, what about this? Have you thought of the opposite? Have you thought of this matching? And that's like, oh wow, I never thought of that. Or someone says, oh, have you ever heard about this person? I think that work might be similar, So then those things, or maybe someone says something to the opposite, like, oh, actually, that reminds me of this filmmaker, even though your stuff is like that. Maybe look into that. And then before you know it, you're watching this film or this book that relates to something, an idea from your stuff. So it's that, literally having support from everybody.
Right. That's good. So let's talk a little bit about your own like visual identity. You describe your work as story-driven, rooted in research, symbolism, and a strong visual form. When you walk into a new project, what is the very first question you ask before putting anything on the page?
I think first I always ask the client, like for me, I like to create things that look different, something totally different from what's out there. So sometimes I ask the client, like, how crazy do you want your work to be? How different do you want to work? Or do you want your work just to be the same as everyone's work, to be literally the same as everything that is out there, like, oh, cool. And most of the time, because they've come to me, they've seen my work. And for me, it's, for example, let's say it's branding. It's always like, what can you celebrate in this instant through this brand?
Yeah.
And sometimes the name has an idea, and sometimes they have a strategy that talks to that. Sometimes I even create a strategy, simple line strategy. And then I start researching. That's the part that takes long, because then I'm trying to link the company. Sometimes the company might already be operating, right? So then now it's like a rebrand, and it's trying to find a strong link to what this mark will be in the company. And sometimes I can find it. It's a good marker, but sometimes I can just use the mark as it is. For me, sometimes I like to create new marks. I can get a new mark. It's a Sankofa symbol, or it's an Andingra symbol that represents peace. And then this company talks about peace in, I don't know, peace in animal conversation, wildlife, right? Okay, cool. And then how does that look now? Right. In every single step, I'm always asking very, very much critical questions. Who does this work celebrate? Does this work attack anybody? Is it offensive to anybody? Is this work religious? I try to stay away from any religious work. Are this practice still good right now? Some practice were good way back, but now they aren't right because now we're like, no, that practice doesn't make sense now, or that was cruel. So then it's always those things. I'm always, and sometimes I even reach out to people in those communities to say, the symbols that I found. I'm thinking of this symbol. Symbols. I know the symbols mean this, but do they still mean the same way? Have they transcended the meanings? Some symbols change over time.
Yeah, most definitely.
Over time. Yeah. I pull up look for some writings. Yeah. And then I start breaking, putting them together, upside down, cutting in half, or adding this, adding that. It then becomes this trying to create a new synthesis,
Yeah.
This plus this to create something. Quite different from what the Western design is. It's almost like removing things to just this little thing, this dot to this dot represents that, But for me, I'm trying to keep a little elements of this identity,
That's the storytelling part, right?
Exactly. That's the important part. And it's almost like if you could analyze it very much, like the study of signs, like being given a sign or being given something, and then you had to analyze it and say, cool, this means this,
right.
The red means love. Then the use on this t-shirt by Justin, the red could mean something else. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the letters aren't written straight, they're upside down. What is it trying to say? Is it trying to, like all those things, like trying to find the meaning that Justin, because either way we might think that we just make things, but sometimes subconsciously it's all connected, even though now we realize that my design style was influenced by my growing up.
Yeah.
So then subconsciously sometimes that's how influenced we are by our history and by our surroundings. So for me, I then go quite intentional, saying,
right,
here's a symbol, plus this, and then trying to put it together in a way that creates a new thing. Trying to create unique symbols in essence, Yeah.
Right. So I'm curious, when you're on this journey of creating these unique symbols, like what's the real difference between designing something that looks good and designing something that actually means something? Because you just broke it down. You said Western design takes away to this little dot. What you're doing is actually giving a whole story to this little dot. So what's the real big difference between designing something that looks good for design and designing something that actually means something?
I think for me, I look at the like the Africa Center UK work, and the Africa Center work literally references how Africans used to communicate complex stories onto one sculpture, onto one wooden thing, right? And that is across, again, this idea is not even just African. I think across other cultures around the world, whereby like it's a totem stick. It's a whole story all put together into one stick.
So Usman, you were just sharing with us how in Western culture, their whole design ideology is to, just create at the most minimal. But what you're trying to do is take that little minimal dot and actually tell a story with it. So what's the real big difference between designing something that looks good and designing something that actually has a full meaning to it?
Yeah. Like for me, it's and again, like to your viewers, I don't mean to bash Western design. I also have moments where I'm like, let me go minimalistic here. But I think for me, it's I think I just love embedding stories into the things, and I think it's just a way of telling much more complex stories into something. And also, I think it also just makes your work stand out. Everything is just going minimalistic, and then you then show up with, here's my work, which is this and this and this and this. You know what I mean? And I guess it's just another way of creating, another work of graphic design, whereby we say, cool, here's Western Bauhaus minimalistic work, and of course here's my own work, which is which is African, which is influenced by Africa. And for me, I feel like it's just. I think for me, it just. I think it is more intriguing, and yeah. Whereas one can argue maybe this one, minimalistic, is more accessible to everybody. And then I can argue that mine celebrates the cultures that it is in, because sometimes when something becomes so global, it tends to almost oppress other visual narratives that are currently there. So for me, it's a way of preserving, So then for me to embed all those stories there, I'm preserving some of the cultures in graphic design. I'm celebrating, I am allowing it to live far beyond the the ceremonial mosque or whatever the thing is. It is now has taken form to a company logo.
Right.
It is now moved. It is now transcended what it was.
Right, right. Now, with you transcending and making all these things happen, how do you balance that depth with accessibility for an audience that may not share that cultural reference? Because a lot of what you've been sharing with us is how you and it's just like kind of like it's part of like your story where you said,
Yes, yeah,
you went to a school that was to help people that didn't have the tools. They needed to
yeah,
learn how to do this. And then you said you had a stuttering problem. So I feel like
yeah,
you're very much aware of accessibility in your design.
yes,
So
yes,
how do you balance that depth with an audience member who may not know, like, hey, I don't have a stuttering problem, so I don't know
yeah.
how to design for that, or how do I design for someone who's blind, or how do I design for someone who is dyslexic? But I feel like you're very intentional with that. So
Mm.
how do you balance that depth?
Like I think for me, it's most of the time my clients' work will be very much. They'll be talking to Africans sometimes, and for me, it is so cool. If you're talking to Africans, so then why don't you talk to them in their own language, right? If you go to China, what would you speak? Right?
Yeah.
Chinese. If you go to Russia, you'll speak Russian, right? So if you go to Africa, why should you speak English?
Right.
Why should your strategy still be based on the American strategy? You see what I
Right.
mean? You have to morph and be like, oh, cool. So I am in this village, right? And these guys see red as a burial color, the same way that purple has a different meaning here in other countries. You go to India, in one region, the way that they write is different, right? So then also, then that'll mean that every single place will have its own strategy. So for me, that is how I see it. To say, if you want to talk to people, talk to them in their own way that they want to talk. So for me, it's like, oh, cool. You come to me with the branding, right? And then you are this company. Let's say it's it's an AI company using the lab right now, and they were like, we want to create solutions for Africans, AI solutions for Africans, because right now the problem was South African companies were using AI systems from America and Europe that had information. See what I mean? That doesn't work.
Yeah. It's
You
not
know
trained to your culture. It's not trained on your language.
exactly, right? So but then again, that is how we do things most of the time, right? So we can buy, like, the same way that some of those cars are designed to work to be configured for cold weather places. I'm not configured for very hot weather spaces, right? So for me, then, so cool.
Yeah.
So you're creating this AI, is great, right? So then how can I create a logo that speaks to that, right? And for me, it is then to say, cool, who's your market? How can I create something that would speak about that, right? And for me, that is that, like it's almost another way of almost like marketing. Yeah. Like you look at Lay's in China. It says Lay's, and then you also write in Chinese.
Yep. Right.
Because they know, we are now here,
You're catering to a different audience. Yep.
exactly, and you have to. Sometimes certain cars or certain clothes. Sometimes they'll drop a certain model for only for a certain region, and sometimes they'll bring back a model just only for a certain region.
Right.
And that's it, because this market love this brand from 1992. We're gonna bring it back and we're gonna celebrate that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, that is how I've been seeing graphic design, or like this thing saying, like, for me, I think because I've been doing it just becomes simple. It's
Right.
like like it is simple. Like you go to China, like, literally speak Chinese, and you will
Right.
see, oh my God, you speak Chinese? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then, like, wow, and that's it. Like, I've heard people be like, you designed that logo. Have you been to Nigeria? I'm like, no. Like, but how? But
Right.
like, how did you, I was like, I did quite a lot of research, and I was like, it's like, wow, you know, like
Yeah.
that was a client, you know what I mean? Client reached out to me, I did the work, and she's like, wow, I'm impressed. Because then I
It's
was
you.
able to articulate
Yeah.
a certain ceremony that's been done. It's because of the research, right?
Right.
And again, I have to be very sensitive about some of this because I'm not there.
It's intentional research. It's not like,
Yes.
it's not just trusting whatever Google or search engine you have. I tell most of my students, and I've shared this in other conversations, it's like,
Mm.
sometimes you just have to go outside and get off the computer. Go grab
Yeah.
a book, go to a library, walk in these communities,
Mm.
go to these places, see, sit, smell. And if you're unable to do that, a lot of good stuff is hidden in books. If you
Yep.
just grab a book, it'll tell you a lot.
Yep.
And so that intentional design comes from just wanting to do that brand or that community justice.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
that's what I'm getting here from it.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, sometimes like some of these cultural things, like professors would write a not long dissertation. Sometimes the document is maybe like 10 pages long, you know, just about, for example, the significance of the kola nut, right?
Mhm.
That's like a certain fruit that is of great significance like in Nigeria. And so sometimes I just look for those academic papers, you know, and then try and read much, you know what I mean? And if I feel like this might be something that I might use, so that when I present the work, I'm not just saying, here's the logo. I break
Right.
it down. So then here's the idea. Here's what you told me. Here's the idea. Here's what I'm trying to think. I did the research. I saw this. And then I saw this. And I was like, how do you bring it together? But what's the significance? Wait,
Yeah.
the kola nut. Here's what the news. And she was blown away, you know, because I put myself as part of the
Yeah, that's
people
cool.
that she'll be talking to,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And you know, and literally, and so that she understands that I'm not just creating just something, just say, here's a logo, thank you, another logo done for the
Right.
week. And it's more that. I think for me, every time when I'm taking a project, it's yeah, like it's part of me, you know. And maybe that's why I'm too slow. But for me, it's like it's my baby. I need to be make sure that in everywhere the work that I put out, it's not, even if it's for Nigeria, if it's for this country, that whoever receives it is like, what? This person's not from here, but they've done such a good job that, you know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
cool. I'm happy. Whoever the person did, I'm happy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But good work, good design work takes time. Like
Yes.
it's not a rush. A lot of people feel like it's a race because they're like, you need this in how much time? You need what? You need that. But it still is like, hey, it's this thing. It's like this little thing I have right here. If you want it fast,
Yes.
it's not going to be good. It's going if you
Yes.
want it fast and cheap, it's not going to be good. If
Yeah.
you want it cheap, I mean, if you want it fast, it's going to take some time. It's going to be good. But listen, if you want it cheap, it's not going to be fast.
Yes.
So it's just these little things here where it's just like, these are funny. It's like when you said that, I was like, I keep this on my desk. So whenever I'm designing, I'm very aware of like, hey, y'all got to understand, good design takes intentional timing. It's like, don't sit on something and then come to me last minute thinking I'm going to just blow it out the water. And it's like, no. I don't work like that. Or I'm not, it's not that I'm not trained to, it's just that I want to give you my best effort.
True.
Yes.
Me too. Yeah. So yeah, like that research coming back. Like sometimes I would do the work and then come back and say, my apologies, been 2 weeks. I don't have anything. I have an idea, but it's not coming out.
Right.
Come back, I'm like, great. I think I do have something, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
no, I
good.
think it's yeah. I think sometimes I see my work as almost as a sculptor, you know, like carving stone, you know, chipping things out, you know, polishing.
Yeah. So let's touch on one of your projects that I loved, my mom loved once I shared it with her, the Obama Foundation. That you designed that whole brand, visual language, wayfinding system. I mean, how was it designing for one of the most recognized names in the world? How did that project come to you? And what was your first reaction when it landed?
Yeah. The Obama Africa Leaders Johannesburg. Yeah, no, like that was, I remember getting an email. At that time I hadn't, I was in South Africa. I'm working in and out of Johannesburg at that time. And I first got the email and I was like, Obama Foundation? This scam. Just come on, it's a scam. I feel like I think I might have lost like a lot of potential clients because of that. I'm like, no. But that's the thing. I was like, nah, I don't think so. And then I googled the person. I'm like, yeah, and then popped up the link. They're like, okay, cool. Yeah, the person who was to the Obama Foundation. I'm like, cool. Let me reach out. And then turns out to be real. Yeah, no, the Obama Foundation work it woke me up. It was a moment whereby the universe was like, Oz, you can do more things. Because I think that project took me from 0 to 100. Like we see your value, we see what you can create, and even the elements that we created, and then they came back again the next year, and then I was like, okay, so I'm good at this. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, maybe I need to go in full time. And the work was amazing. I think I was able to, and I think that if I had to think, and I think that is maybe that is the first time that my visual language started forming. That project. If I recall properly, I think that is when it started forming properly. I think I had done another project before that, but I think that one was where it started not forming, pulling quite a lot of elements into one thing to create almost like these murals, visual language. Yeah. But I think that project gave me confidence in my work. Also knowing that I'm able to get an international client. And even because I found me through Behance, and even my Behance at that time didn't have a very strong presence. I had some work there, but I hadn't been putting even some of my stuff that I was doing. But after that, I was like, okay, let's update that Behance right now. Let's put in more stuff out there. But yeah, I look back and I'm like, yeah, no, like, and I think everything else after that was just, okay, yeah, I got it. Yeah, because even the custom font, it was a suggestion that I was like, oh, we could also do this here because like they already have their own font, but it was just adding elements to it for the event, and they loved it. And for me, that is always something that I always do, whereby you get this quotation, but then I'm always throwing in other things there because why not? You know what I mean?
Right.
Why not a tote bag? Why not this? Even though those things were part of the budget, but it was all these other things that are like, I always get carried away when I'm doing a project. I'm like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And yeah, it was, and I got to see Obama in person, but not to talk to him. He was there and I was here. I mean, so yeah.
Okay, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how did you approach building a visual system that carries a lot of weight? I mean, listen, that foundation crosses enormous range of people, culture, and context. Like, was it just you solo? Was it a team? Like, how did you approach building this visual system?
Oh, cool. So the Obama Foundation have got their logo, right? I think the Obama Foundation was having Africa leaders, and I think it was the first time they were having this event in Africa. So then what I created, branding was for that event, after the event, right? That's what I created. And it was to say, oh, cool, here's this event that is having, I think, almost close, I'm not sure, maybe 200 of the best entrepreneurs, those people who across Africa are going to be in this one place, some projects running, mentorships and all that. And one, it was to say, it was also supposed to almost like center it in Johannesburg, and then that was the hard part, like creating this mark that also includes the Obama Foundation logo.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did many variations, and then like we ended up with that one with a necklace around it. And again, I think the hard part was how to create something that's going to also have another logo that's already been done, and also have these things work together. So then that was the first part. After that was then how to then create a visual language. And for me, so I think most visual languages now are very much simplified, They're very simple, that's subtle. And again, I always like to go crazy. Yeah. And yeah, it was do
you mind if I share it so I can pull it up so see it? Okay. Let me share it with you. Okay, here we go. Because this is what I have pulled up right here.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah. And I think I'm trying to remember if this was the second year or the first year, but yeah, this is 2018. Wow, almost 8 years ago. So yeah, it was. I think first is great. Is creating the pattern first. on
Mm-hmm.
the logo first, after logo, then the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's now breaking the pattern apart and then placing it into different places. For example,
Yeah.
is it the tote bag? Is it this? Yeah, it was quite a lot of fun. Stickers, those are like they had a very big mural,
Yeah.
not a mural, almost like a board thing that they had. Yeah, how I don't remember. I remember it was a lot of work, but yeah, I think for me, as long as the main big pattern
Yeah.
is done, it then becomes much easier. And then and even when we were also working with the team, some of the small ones were the first one, but I was like, no, let's go with the big one first, because then I'm able to take pieces of that and then be able to
Right.
use it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And then all those patterns I was pulling across from different African cultures. Say, cool, here's this pattern from here, here's this pattern here, because
Yeah.
again, like they were having about 200 leaders across Africa. So then I also reference those patterns from across Africa and then put them together into one pattern, one visual language.
Yeah. So you know what? I was going to describe it. So describe what if their listeners are listening to this right now. Describe what they're seeing right now on the screen.
Okay, so you're looking at some of the collateral work that are produced with the Obama Foundation. So these are just some of the simpler elements. There's some like wayfinding systems,
Mm-hmm.
but these are like, so on the right, those are the stickers for like every single country that was represented.
Is
And
that
then
where
on
you're
the
saying the patterns too were represented through each one? Is that what you're sharing with us?
so then if you look on the left, there's a
Mhm.
pattern at the back on the table there.
Mm-hmm.
So then that main pattern is a whole big pattern with different elements
Got
taken
it.
from different cultures across Africa.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
And then from that, I then took up some patterns to then create simpler pattern. For example, when you look at the notebook or the t-shirt or the tote bag there, now that's
Yeah.
just a design for the t-shirt, and that can easily be placed in different places. Yeah.
Okay.
And then there were like posters, there were signage stuff, there were animation,
Yeah.
there were like it was a
That's
whole system.
Man, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing with us about that. So there's something I do want to tap into. You did say you created typography and you're creating like new writing systems. So you've done something very few designers ever attempt, invented a writing system, like
Yeah.
which is like this, right? Like when I looked it up, I was like, I wish I could understand this. Like I really do wish. So I was just intrigued by it, but you invented this writing system, which is rooted in Zimbabwean and hopefully I say it correct. Is it Northern Nubili culture?
Ndebele.
Ndebele culture.
Ndebele,
So
yes.
walk us through this process of actually like what it looks like and why did you do it? Why did you feel the need to make this?
Yeah. So I'm part of a group of designers, and I think like African designers are very much a very, very small community. Like we kind of know each other. Like, oh, congrats, Oz, congrats, Tarai.
Yeah.
And because we're doing type design and we're experimenting with all this, we always just be talking,
Yes.
And someone whilst dabbling into type design, the question has always been, how can we decolonize, type design? Coming from Zimbabwe, which has always used Latin, only recently, because of colonialism, and again, even some of my peers have tried to do it. Like Tarai targeted. Wow, when did she graduate? But she graduated before me. Like she also attempted to create one. And there's many people across Africa that have attempted. I'm just one of the latest ones who have also attempted. And most of these things are all processes, you know what I mean? Maybe I'll be able to be done with it maybe in the next 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or 10 years, It's a work in progress. But the whole thing was, is there a way to create a new writing system? And of course people say, why would you want to do that? You know what I mean? And then my thing is like, well, why not? Because Latin isn't ours. Even the name will tell you Latin. You know what I mean? Like the Chinese have theirs. If you go to India, you've got theirs. And in Africa, you go to others, they've also have theirs. You know what I mean? And I think also one of the most inspiring one is come on, it's even slipping. They designed a writing system for the teenagers, right? Adlam, yes, Adlam script.
How do you spell that?
AD, right? And right? And they've been working on that thing since, I think, the past 30 years. Right now, it's being used by millions and millions of people.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And this is, we're talking about people who are still alive right now.
Yeah.
Right? And they've worked on the script over and over again, over and over again. Microsoft has included it.
Wow.
It has been, you know what I mean? Like like it is. So
it's in the culture, zeitgeist, and systems.
Exactly. Right. So then now so then when you see that, then you're like, so why not? Right. I can start something now. Doesn't mean that by tomorrow it'll be done. Maybe in 20 years, maybe in 30 years, you know?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and then, yeah. Sorry.
No. Go.
Yeah. And then it actually circles back to your other question in another different way. Remember when you asked about, like you asked the question about accessibility. What about for those who don't understand?
Yes. Right? I was about to just ask you about that. I was just going to ask you that. Okay.
Right? We're not going to be able to understand every single thing, right? And when I create work, it's usually creating for the community that I'm creating for. Target market, we are selling phones to this group. I want to create to this group because they're the one that we are talking to in this region right now. But what about somebody from outside the group who wants to know about this, right? Definitely then they can come and learn from it. Because the fact that you're going to be able to see this, be like, wow, what is this? Then you're going to be pulled in and you're going to be able to understand what it is. For me, right now, I'm still trying to figure out how to finish this writing system. And I know the complexities to sell it even to my people to say, here's what I'm creating. Use this. Use this.
Yep.
But I can't create it alone. I have to go back to the people and say, because my script, it's about archiving the Ndebele culture, right? Some of the things we're not doing anymore. Meaning in the next 10 years, 20 years, nobody would have known that the Northern Ndebele people used to go to Njelele to go sing and dance for the rain, right? So then things like that, right? We're moving. People they're leaving, being traditional. They're becoming more religious. What happened to those religious things? That's what I'm trying to put and almost embed into these marks, right? Into this character, right? And so then my writing system is almost becomes an archival in a way, you know, to say this character is inspired by this event. This character is inspired by this tool. This character is inspired by this, you know, inspired by 4 people singing for the dance or whatever it might be, you know?
Right.
Then becomes an archival that even when people move on in the next 20 years, that they're like, oh, we don't know what used to happen way back in the culture, but the writing system hopefully will be able to like to have that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah, that's my hope. It is an attempt, but everything always started as an attempt.
Yeah. Now, I know through your own thesis with RISD, you brought up some things that are very important and poignant, but there's something I know through research and even through your own conversations is that there's a long history of the African visual language being erased or even misrepresented in the design canon. Now, with you taking on this tremendous labor of love, creating these scripts, how do you think the responsibility, like how do you feel about that responsibility that comes with creating this new script and new type systems with a very rooted African identity?
Wow. Yeah. I think now the responsibility is now much better. The reason why I say that is because I did a project that was much more intense and I had to control myself. When I did the 36 days of type, well, no, it wasn't. It was the first project, Africa Love Letters, where I was celebrating every country's independence. And because I was chasing those countries' independence days, sometimes I'll be dropping 2 designs per day because some countries share. That became a lot. So I was stressed out. And then I had to tell myself, this is my own project.
Right.
You know, yes, I have to be very cautious and understand, but I was now sleeping late. It was during COVID.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Navigating, cool. I know that sometimes other countries would have 2 on the same day and then another country on the other day. So now being able to do 3 projects before that, after that research, it just became a lot to a point where, and again, I was getting people from around, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait for this one to drop my country. Yeah. I'm like, thank you for the pressure. Thank you. You know what I mean? Thank you. But then that was love,
Yeah.
But then I had to be like, this is my own project. Good time. Even if you drop it not on the day of independence. Good, because before I was almost like chasing this, this adrenaline, like,
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
same
yeah.
day, then there's like 200 likes to
The
on
likes will
project.
get you going, man. Those things will get you
Exactly.
going.
You know what I mean? And then again, then start to understand that, people love detailed stuff compared to simplistic graphic
Yeah,
stuff. And I was like, I don't read much into that. So now I think what I've learned through my thesis is that most of the things are going to take time. I think when I was doing my thesis, I wanted to finish the writing system, and then
yeah,
my lecturers were like, the thesis itself is you saying, this is what I'm proposing for the future.
right.
Some of these ideas could change, they'll evolve. What you
Yeah,
present right now to us is almost like the first version of this writing system. And even if you look at like the Adlam script, the one that's done by Barry, it has evolved over time
right.
to even to the one that was included in the Unicode consortium.
Yeah,
It is literally has evolved, and even in that package, even when you check on Wikipedia, you will
yeah.
see how what they presented before to how it looks like now. It has
Mhm.
evolved over time. They've fixed other things, they've removed other marks to make it much more simpler to write or to encode. So, and I think that released some pressure to say, yes, we know African work has to be represented in a certain way, but we also want you to be able to be healthy, because design can be very stressful.
Yeah, it really can. It really can.
So yeah, so I think knowing that not everything can be built in one day.
Right.
You do something right now. I think even now I'm learning to release things even if they're not finished. Like I released Sonka last year as a free trial. It's not finished. It doesn't even have all the characters. I gave it up for free. It's a way of saying, here's it. Version, I'll update it. I'll update it. It is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't
Is that
need to be perfect.
is that what you did with your other one, Soke, and
Sonka, yeah.
is it Isiku? Did I say it right?
Yes, Isigo. Yeah,
Okay.
Isigo. Yeah,
So
yeah.
like you intentionally are making these typefaces and these symbols and images. So like what do you hope it does for people when you release these things?
Like I'm trying to create it. So for example, when it comes to Isigo, right, I release it online for people to be able to see. When I do the second version, it'll then be, here's now the new updated. Here's what I've
Gotcha.
worked on. Here's what so then you'll see that maybe by the time we get to the fourth version, things we've gone now through a lot of iterations.
You can
And
see
maybe
the
that fourth
journey.
version could be 5 years, and then you are now able to track the journey. Here's this website for the first and the second, right? And then we're able to see that we're actually building literally things can be building in real time, literally building in the public. It's not
Yeah.
because right now, if I don't do it right, and somebody does it, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know, I'm also working on it right now. You know what I mean? But then when you release it, like, here's it. It doesn't have all the characters, but here's what I've done so far.
Yeah.
It's fine. I do version 2. I upload it again. Here's it. It's not done. Version 3. Here's the final one, right? And for me, it is to say, here's an attempt, and I'm carry on this attempt, and it is a way to bring people into this conversation of, like, why not? Why can't you also create your own writing system?
Right.
Like movies do it all the time. Like they create writing systems. And again, someone right now is creating a new writing system, and who knows, maybe that could even get used. Within the next 10, 20 years. All it needs is just people who are like, okay, we see that, we like it, why not?
Right.
Like we live in a world whereby, like the writing system for South Korea was designed by the king, right? All these are somebody designed them. So yeah, and again, somebody might take it from me again, say, oh, designed this, maybe this wasn't the right way, but I think I might add this and this and this. Then it carries on.
Yeah.
Maybe 40 years from now, somebody takes it again to say, actually, Osmond did this, but did this. Actually, I'm actually going to take upon them and add these things. And who knows, maybe that becomes the final one.
Yeah.
But at least I'm creating work, putting out there all those attempts, all those ideas. And we all have these ideas. These aren't special ideas. You know what I mean? And somebody will be like, actually, can I jump into that idea? Yes, for sure. They jump on it. They pull it apart. They add something else. Here's Osmond stuff. Here's what I've added.
So I'm going to brag on you for a little bit because like you don't understand. You may not know it, but I did. I took the time to look you up. Man, you've been recognized for the One Club. You've spoken at Typographics and the Directors Club. Your work was included in Bloomberg's design history book. My man, you're killing it out here. So you're doing great things. You may not think it, but for me being a designer and seeing you out here just in these spaces, taking up space and telling your story is just beautiful and phenomenal. But I'm curious, how do you hold on to everything, your story, your culture, that thin little thread in all of your work when you're getting all these accolades and all this information that's like, hey, we need you, we want you, we love you. Like, how do you hold on to that? Or better yet, how do you not lose yourself?
Yeah, like I think maybe it's maybe it's how I was brought up. I don't know, but I think I understand the reason why I was called in for the Type Directors Club. And sometimes there are moments where I'm like, what? Me? You know what I mean? You know, I'm a designer, you know, like I have quite a lot of like Stockholm, what is it called? Like imposter syndrome. And I'm like, are you sure me? You know? But I think now I do have much confidence that I did before, you know. Oh, but like nah, I don't think you guys talk about me. But now I'm like, yeah. And I think it's that. I then realize it's a type of thinking that I bring to the table. It's the work that I'm creating. It's the questions that I'm asking. Yeah, I think it's a curiosity that I also have. And for me, I think it's that, you know, just to create that work. And most of the time, it's because sometimes we create work that is so amazing that we don't even know how amazing it is, because to us, it's just that simple, right? Or it just comes naturally to you, right?
Okay.
But to others, it's not. You know, to others, like, wow, you know?
Right.
And for me, it's that work. I enjoy that work. You know what I mean? Even right now, even if I'm doing work that is totally different, but I still go back and then try and create that work, because that is work that brought me into the spaces, and that is work that I really love creating, and that is the work that I also would love to be known for. And also, even though as I'm moving and growing, I try to say, cool, how can I, you know, diversify into other spaces? How can I create something, but still bringing myself, you know, because I am an African. I do love certain things. I do like this, and I'm trying to bring that up. I'm always questioning, you know, how can we do 1, 2, 3, 4?
Right.
Yeah. And sometimes when I'm not sure what to do, I sometimes just go back and look at my work and be like, you did this before.
Right.
So you can do it again, you know? So sometimes, even when I'm talking to people, I'm like, go back and look at your work.
Yep.
And look at your best work and get carried from there, you know?
Beautiful, man. So this is my fun little section I throw in right before we start to conclude things. This is my rapid fire section. So you give me the best answer possible. I've stumped 4 people. My number is getting there. I've got 4 people that were like, I have no idea what to pick. So here we go. Favorite typeface you did not design?
Of course. Okay. I would say work by Trey Sales. Yeah. I think it's Martin.
Yeah.
I think it's Martin. Yeah, Martin, right? Yeah. Yes, that one. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Zimbabwe, Johannesburg, or New York?
So then actually today it's actually Zimbabwe's Independence Day. So then you asking me this.
I told you I make it a little bit difficult for people sometimes.
It depends.
Okay. I'll let it slide. It depends.
Yeah.
So for today, what is it for today? Which one do you think?
I'll say, okay, wow.
Told you.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. My answer is this. Emotionally, Zimbabwe.
Okay.
Design-wise, and then just cool space, Johannesburg. And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
One design trend that needs to end immediately.
Actually, I don't have one, because as much as I don't follow trends, I feel like there are events in time that need to happen, even though like I don't subscribe to them. Even though I would say like the use of I think I'll stop there before before I step onto people's toes there.
Okay, let's see this one. Harder to design, a typeface or a brand identity?
Typeface.
One word that describes great typography.
One word.
Yes, great typography. You've seen a lot. You've made a lot. You're even coming up with a conversation, a creative language now for communities.
That's a good one. Hey, that's a good one.
Because you do it so naturally. So it's just like
I'm still learning, actually. Like I feel like I'm still learning when it comes to typography. Literally, I'm still learning. But one great word for great typography, I think for me it'll be legacy.
Yeah. Why legacy?
I think that I think because for me that's what I try. I hope that my work will have that. will transcend time.
Yeah.
So legacy, I don't know if it answers it, but
Good.
yeah.
So you spent your career not just working within visual language, you are building new ones from the ground up. What have you learned about what design can actually do for the world that goes beyond aesthetics?
I think inspire. I think the best part for graphic design for me I think it's when there's a teacher from the UK who reached out to me saying that he's teaching 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds design art, and he's been looking at he was looking at black designers or black artists, and then he was like, oh, I found your work, and then he showed them my work, and then they did a project on me, and to see drawings done by 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, articulating my work, and I was like, I never really saw it that way, like somebody looking at my work being like, wow, and this year, after releasing the Sequel font, we also published this book.
Hold it up for us so we can see it, so people can see it. Wow, Black, Young, and Gifted.
Yeah, right. And it's actually quite a very like an emotional thing. I think like sometimes how we don't know how much impact that we are to people, right? So I create work, and then a teacher in the UK uses like to inspire kids, and then kids do a whole project about that. She takes my font. I designed my font last year during the KBI incubation program, and it was just like a 6-week program, but it was amazing. And I was trying to make it a text typeface, but of course I'm always crazy. So then it ends up
Right.
becoming borderline text and display, but always going to displaying. And she then was like she's a writer, and she was about to publish, and then she was taking a graphic design class, and then she was like, what about any African designers, and then the person in the class she was taking, she couldn't understand that, and then she just started doing her own research. She found me, she downloaded the font, and she used it everywhere inside.
My goodness. Not telling
Inside.
you? She didn't tell you this?
She told me, but then I was like, of course, maybe it's just gonna be like, one
The
part,
cover
you know what I
or
mean?
something,
Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Just a little, cover and there. From the cover, the whole book, to the whole book, everything.
That's you. That's yours.
Exactly.
That's
And again,
beautiful.
remember, I published, say, it's not finished, here's it, but I'll edit it. But somebody didn't see it, as unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? I published it, and I'm like, cool. I told myself I'll release something. For me, I'm saying it's unfinished.
But to someone else, they
For
saw it
them,
as
someone
perfect.
else.
They saw it as
Exactly.
perfect. Wow, that's crazy.
So then when I look at this, and again, as I said, I think RISD opened up this typography space where I'm like trying to create fonts and typefaces that I release, because we create things and just put it on a website. Releasing and letting people use it, the beautiful part, you know what I mean? And I wasn't even thinking of making it italic, but they even had to make italic, right? And that is it's almost like what entrepreneurs say, like you make something, give it out to the world, and then people would tell you, you know what, you need this. So now, because they had to force italic, now it's like, okay, cool. So when I do the other edition, I need to make the italic version. You know what I mean? But the fact that they didn't see it as an unfinished project, they saw it as a finished.
Man,
this is published. It has an ISBN number.
Yeah.
And I look at this and I'm like, yeah.
Wow,
This, yeah.
That's beautiful. So what is something about creativity you understand now that you wish you had a full understanding of when you were starting out?
I think being able to do anything, sometimes I think it does help just do graphic design, but I feel like I think the system here in America, or sometimes like in Europe, whereby it's like your 2 core classes of whatever it is, architecture or graphic design, but you can take a ceramic class, you can take a finisher class, you can take I feel like that is good for creativity, because then through those electives, that's where you then are able to formulate all these new different things that we don't know about. You know what I mean? You're taking graphic design, and then you're taking an elective for chemistry. I mean, we don't know you take one for architecture, because you're taking all these things because of interest. We all have interests,
Yeah.
And I think as a creative person, we're like, oh, what about that thing was 3D? But then I don't have time. So then you don't. But then if you're in a space, I wish if I had in a space whereby I could follow up on that interest. I think things have been very interesting now.
Mm.
So yeah, I think that's the one thing that I think about creativity. It needs a space to spread,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And
Yeah.
then if it finds its water hole, of course it will then come there, you know. But I feel like it needs, even the schools need to be able to say, cool, here's what you're doing that you applied for, but you can spread.
Yeah.
Your interest is into clay. Yeah, you can do it that one semester there, do the clay, and then you're still doing whatever it is, architecture and this. But I feel like being allowed to spread, you know, as vines,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
is good for creativity.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what does it mean for a culture to truly be seen in the design world? And how far do you think we still need to go?
That's a good one because, like, the old cultures want to be seen. And since capitalism has a tendency of not paying its dues sometimes.
We know that.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think as long as the culture is getting its recognition and the people in the culture are being represented, you know, in whatever way, you know, let's say it's a Justin culture, and Justin culture do ceramics, and the ceramics have become the, you know, when you see them, so
Yeah.
if the people from the jazz community continue to get recognition and are the ones get commissioned, I'm pretty sure the community will be very much happy to continue what they're doing. But I think sometimes it then becomes a very much capitalistic thing. I always go back to the idea of respect, to respect,
Yep.
and to question how far you're celebrating.
Yeah.
I do have a project that I'm currently working on, and I'm asking these critical questions, you know, like which angle do I get into?
Right.
Yes, a part of it, but I'm not 100% part of it. I'm half
Right.
percent, you know. So it's always these ideas of negotiating this
Yep.
thing, because in one way, whatever you put out would affect other people. So, and I think sometimes when we create work that represents a certain culture,
Mm-hmm.
we don't ask enough deep critical questions. We then just end up posting it because, you know,
Yeah.
time is running out.
Yeah.
But I think as much as we can say there's enough respect being put into this project, the people from the community are being represented well, not just as a token.
Yeah. So this is one question I always ask everybody before we get to our final closing. What is the one thing you would tell your younger self now that you've made it on the other side? Now you've made it from Zimbabwe in the school, learning these crafts and trades to where you are now. What is the one thing, or what are the things you would share with your younger self?
Follow the process, and focus more on typography.
Yeah.
I think I'll say focus more, present, and follow more, and focus more on typography. Yeah.
Okay. So lastly, when people encounter something you've helped create, whether it's a typeface, a writing system, a brand identity, what do you ultimately hope they feel? And what do you hope they carry away with them once they encounter it?
I would love them to be able to see that I'm just one of 1,000 pieces of what African design is. What I create isn't the whole of African design, it's just my version of it. And there's many versions of African design. It's also one version of many ways we can decolonize design. What they're saying is just another way. There's many ways that can be done. And this is my own way that I've managed to find so far.
Oh, man, we appreciate that. Well, you guys, thank you so much for listening to our podcast today. My name is Justin Robinson. I have the talented, the gifted, the creator. He's carving his own lane in a culture that has been misrepresented, and this man is going to stand tall. The talented, the gifted, Osmond Tshuma. And this is the Art School Graduate. We'll catch y'all later.